Boelter Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf.
Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam coming at you on this very exciting Blue Friday here. So I want to welcome everybody who's here on the show. I see you guys, a lot of you already in the chat. This is going to be a fun collab here. Another episode of Behind Enemy Lines. Yes, this is the show where we talk to a fan of the Vikings, get kind of behind the scenes, and find out beyond the surface what we think we need to worry about. Find out if there's anything else we need to know about the opponent we're about to play on Sunday, and see what it's going to take, what to worry about, and what to think about and look for that we may not know about at this point, being that we're not the experts on the Vikings, and my guest is. So before I bring him on, I want to quickly just remind everybody, please, if you don't mind, I would love it if you would hit that like button, hit the subscribe button and notification bell, share, comment, and all that good stuff. And it's very helpful to growing the YouTube channel, so I greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, here we go. Here is my special guest. I've got Matt Falk of the Onebar Lupagus Show. So, Matt, welcome to NorbCam.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. We see a lot of the Seahawks over the last couple of years, and thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. So I guess before we get into it, I got to ask you a little bit about who you are. What is the Onebar Lupagus Show? What kind of name is that exactly? How did you become Vikings fans? Give me kind of the quick lowdown, the elevator pitch on who you are and how you got to this stage where you're doing this show like this.
Absolutely. Onebar goes back to the Gary Anderson days of Vikings 1998. That's where Onebar comes from. My co-host Lupagus, who couldn't be here today, he just has an infatuation with Snuffleupagus, and that turned into Lupagus. So we made it the Onebar Lupagus Show. We are diehard Vikings fans, always been. We live right here in Minnesota, so we had a podcast for a couple of years, and we just took it to YouTube, just starting in April. So we're kind of fresh to this. So it's been very, very fun.
All right. So for anybody who wants to check out their show, I've got their links in the description of this video, so you can look them up and check out their content. So let's get into this. This game obviously is a big one for both teams. Every game is important, but it seems like we play you guys on a very regular basis. Considering we're not in the same division, it feels like you guys are like division opponents because we've seen you in the playoffs. We've seen you almost every season. We somehow run into you on the schedule. Fortunately for the Seahawks, we've come out on the winning side for, I think, the last 6 games. I think we've won every single one, so I'm hoping we keep that streak alive. But I guess what's your initial feeling going into this game? I believe Seattle is they're 7-point favorites. What's your feeling going into this game? What's your confidence level, man?
Well, confidence level is extremely low. Vikings are off to a tough start, 1-3. Seattle off to a very, very good start, putting up a ton of points on the board. You guys are probably very excited at this point to see the Vikings on the schedule every year. And at this point, we're not very excited to see Seattle. So confidence level is low, but also at the same point, the Vikings can come in. They got enough talent where they can actually win some games. They could be a spoiler this year. And I'm really hoping that 6-game streak comes to an end come Sunday night.
I'm sure you are. There have been some close games for sure. None closer than that Ice Bowl game in the wild card back in the day when you had Blair Walsh. And I swear to God, that game was over at that point, and the miracle happened, kept our playoff hopes alive, even though they ended quickly the next week in Carolina. But so we've had some pretty exciting games, and of course they've worked to our favor. But this season, when I saw that, I felt first, of course, coming off of 6-0 against you guys. Of course, I felt confident, but I'm looking at it thinking, okay, you guys finally got your first win last week. Everyone's talking about stopping the run. Dalvin Cook is the guy, and the thing that makes me nervous, of course, is Seattle's defense. Is passing wise is dead last, the worst team in terms of passing in the NFL. Running, though, we've been pretty good, but then again, nobody's really tried to run much against us because either they've had to pass or they just figure, well, these guys are like hot knife through butter. Why even not try to when you can get so many yards? So give me a little bit of scoop of I guess give me reasons why you feel that if you guys are going to come away with a win, what's going to have to happen in this game for you guys?
Well, obviously, like you mentioned, Dalvin Cook, you guys have been stuffing the run. I think you're giving up about 74 yards a game. You held Zeke in check, Todd Gurley in check, Sony Michel in check. So obviously, Dalvin Cook needs to run the ball, but what it really comes down to is Kirk Cousins. I mean, I hate to throw it on his shoulders on a primetime game and big games where Kirk Cousins has not showed up. Vikings fans know that. Redskins fans know that. The Kirk Cousins, you're going to be able to tell very, very quickly if he's in this game, because if he comes out and in the first drive or two, we're 3 and out, 3rd and 7, he's missing throws and he puts his head down, going down, you guys are golden. But what it really comes down to is him coming out hot. The Vikings are going to have to, the Seattle Seahawks, they come out, they're putting tons of points on the board, tons of yards. We're going to have to match that, and it's going to be on Kirk Cousins' shoulders, and Vikings fans aren't going to want to hear that, but that's what it's going to come down to.
Well, and I guess if I were to look at this and play devil's advocate, one thing you guys do have going for you is we do have some injuries on the defensive side of the ball. We don't have Jamal Adams once again. However, Quinton Dunbar has been practicing. He hasn't been around much the last couple of games, but I believe he's set to play on Sunday, and I think he is an upgrade at our right corner instead of Trey Flowers, who I get eternally frustrated with. So we'll see if that does in fact play out. And then there's the potential Snacks Harrison signing that happened this week. He has actually been practicing this week, and I do believe there's talk about him actually being able to play in this game. Does that concern you? I don't know if you were following that news at all, but does the signing of Snacks Harrison, given the fact that it seems like your best bet right now is for Dalvin Cook to go off in the running game, and Snacks Harrison's main job is to be a huge body in the middle and stuff the running lanes, how was your reaction when you heard that signing?
Well, my purple heart broke a little bit because I wanted Snacks Harrison. The Vikings fans' defensive line is in rough shape, especially when it comes in the middle of it. And it was a little bit of a pipe dream that we were going to get him. But then, of course, Seattle signs Snacks. So, yes, absolutely. If he's out there, that's going to be an issue. I mean, your defensive tackles otherwise, correct me if I'm wrong, but Poona Ford and Davis, they're damn good too. So, Cook has his work cut out for him. They like to put him out to the outside quite a bit, and he's kind of a magician when he gets his hand on the ball. He's averaging 5.7 yards a carry. He's a leading rusher in the league. I think he'll beat that 74 yards a game you guys are giving up, but I don't think it'll be by much.
How do they usually use him? You said they put him on the outside. Is he not really like a between the tackles runner, or are you saying they kind of give him the ball in space and he runs outside the tackles and try to get to the edge?
They give him space, and if it's not there, he makes space. Dalvin Cook he's not going to wow you with his speed. He just makes things happen, and they're starting to do more play action, which has helped us over the last 2 weeks. But he kind of makes it his own because our offensive line is not overly fantastic.
That's music to my ears to hear that because we've had our issues at the defensive line, but at least from a pass rush standpoint, how is your pass protection? Because, when it comes to an offensive line, you look at two things. Some lines are great run blocking lines that might be horrible at pass protection and vice versa. How is your line in this case? Obviously, with running the ball, I assume it's a pretty good run protecting or run blocking line, but what about from a pass protection standpoint? Do you feel like they're stronger one side versus the other?
Well, their pass protection's, I would say, okay at best. Brian O'Neill on the right side is he's one of the more underrated tackles in the league. Riley Reef, surprisingly, I mean, we almost cut this guy. We gave him an ultimatum, and he re-signed and restructured. He's having a very good year, but it's our guards. Our guards are terrible. We're getting defensive tackles up in Kirk Cousins' face. Kirk Cousins isn't the most mobile guy, and he does not have much time in the pocket. So that's why I'm scared of your defensive tackles. But overall, our pass blocking is marginal at best.
Not good when you're trying to rely on Kirk Cousins to be the guy to win you the game. So let me turn it around here. Actually, I want to somebody. Irina Milan Vyshevsky says, I absolutely love his accent. And they're talking about you, not my accent. And Do you feel like you have an accent, or do you listen to the rest of the country and think everybody else has weird accents? I've always wondered that.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when we started the YouTube channel, it's amazing how many comments we get on our Minnesota accent. I ask my wife and I ask other people, and they're like, I don't notice it. But of course they don't notice it, because we're all from Minnesota. But it's become very clear that my accent is extremely Fargo thick. So go watch the movie Fargo if you haven't seen it.
I've got a buddy of mine, Jeff. His family, my daughters are good friends, but they're from Minnesota. And I hear the little Minnesota accent in there. I can't imitate it well enough, but so I'm used to it. But it is funny when people actually mention that. But it's funny because to you, it's normal. And I just wonder if you listen to me go, Norb sure has a weird accent. But
no, you guys just sound normal. We sound weird.
Okay. All right. So let's flip this around. Obviously, the story with the Seahawks, and really what has been sort of the Band-Aid covering all of our blemishes, is Russell Wilson and that offense. He's been throwing for, at an MVP level, throwing a record number of touchdowns, tying Peyton Manning for the number of touchdowns over first 4 games. And at this point, shows no sign of slowing down, and the run game is not half bad either. So the question now is, what kind of resistance can we expect to see from the Vikings, both from a pass rush standpoint, because I think that's the key. When Russ has time to cook back there, because sometimes, you got to simmer for a while. You got to let that water boil. You can't just rush it. He needs some time for those receivers to get open. And as we saw with the Dolphins last week, they blitzed him a lot. I think they decided, well, you know what, if we're going to get burned, let's get burned throwing the kitchen sink at him. And at times it worked. They rushed him into an interception. They rushed him on several throws, but they were determined not to let him just sit back there. Even though he still got over 300 plus yards, they definitely got him kind of as less comfortable than he's been, resulting in only 2 touchdowns compared to the 4 or 5 he had been averaging. So what can we expect from your defense? Start first with the front 7. How good is your front 7 against the pass and the run? And then I want to ask about the secondary. So how is your front 7 on defense?
Well, I'm gonna sound like a Debbie Downer to Vikings fans, but we're 1-3 for a reason. Our pass rush is brutal. Yannick Ngakoue, they made that trade right at the end of training camp because Danielle Hunter doesn't appear to be coming to the field anytime soon. So he is our pass rush. He's got 3 sacks over the last 3 games. Hopefully after this week he gets 4. But the other guys, they're rotational. There's nothing there. Afidi Odenigbo was a guy that came on late last year. He has yet to really prove anything or prove that wasn't a fluke. Our guys in the middle, like I said, defensive tackles, we're just constantly rotating guys in. We got Shamar Stephen, who you guys had on a 1-year deal. We have him. He is our starter. Jaleel Johnson, just not much there. They're bodies. And when you kick it back to the linebackers, Anthony Barr out for the year. So we got Eric Kendricks in the middle, and we got Eric Wilson on the outside, but Eric Wilson's having a tough go at it. Kendricks is the heart and soul of this defense. Harrison Smith has been that guy, but Kendricks is steadily taking that over. Kendricks, I feel, is one of the better middle linebackers in the league. So he is kind of trying to make up for a lack of pass rush, a lack of run defense, and trying to do it all, which can come back to hurt us a little bit too. So there's definitely some glaring issues there. We got a rookie 4th rounder, DJ Wanham, that has been getting more time over the last 2 weeks. He had a sack last week, so I hope they get him more out there this week, just to try to get a little shot into this defense. But Chris Carson is very scary to me this week. He seems to do very good against the Vikings every time we play him. And Russell Wilson, he is going to have time to cook. He's going to have time to do the dishes. He's going to have time to do everything this week.
Okay, well, I want to talk about the secondary, but first I want to ask about Ngakoue because, during the offseason, Seattle was convinced we were going to get one of these 3 guys. We were either going to get Ngakoue or Everson Griffin or Clowney. We were going to get one of the 3. It was just like already a done deal, and we got none of them. So since you have Ngakoue, you said he's had 3 sacks over the last 3 games. Do you feel like it was worth it? Was he? What are we missing that you guys got? Do you feel like he was the player everybody wanted him to be? How happy are you with that move?
I'm extremely happy. I mean, we gave up a 2nd-round pick, which at this point looks like it could be a very early 2nd-round pick, which I'm still fine with. But this is the last year of his contract, so if we went out and got a 1-year rental for a guy on a team that's going to go 5-11, then that's going to be an issue. But he has brought it. He didn't get a training camp. He was a little rusty the week one. Vikings fans were just kind of like, oh no. But then he came on, and he's arrived. He'll be up in Russell Wilson's face at least a couple times this game, and hopefully he can take him down.
And where does he line up at? What side of the line of scrimmage?
Left side.
Left side. Okay, so, all right. Well, we'll see how our right side, your left, our right, handles that. So luckily, that's not his blind side then, right? Because he's on the left side of the D, so he'll feel that pressure coming and squirm out of it. All right, so let's talk about the secondary. We've faced all kinds of secondary this year. Atlanta. I don't think they have a very good secondary. He had his way with them. We faced the Patriots, who have a very good secondary and one of the best in the league, and was able to throw, I believe, 4 touchdowns in that game, and over against one of the players who never let Stephon Gilmore, who hadn't given up a touchdown the entire season last year. So far, Russell Wilson's been doing pretty well with no matter what kind of secondary has been thrown at him so far. What is the state of your secondary right now?
Well, the Vikings are currently ranked 29th overall against the pass. I know the Seahawks are 32nd. Granted, your opposing teams are at least chucking it on you 90% of the time. But we're 29th, and that's pretty valid. We have a very young secondary. We lost Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, and Mackenzie Alexander in free agency this past year. So our secondary is extremely, extremely young when it comes to cornerbacks. Cam Dantzler. These guys are showing hope. Jeff Gladney, we took in round 1. He's gotten better every week, which is good. Last week, he played a very, very good game. But it comes down to our safeties. Harrison Smith, Anthony Harris, which are a couple of the best in the league. It's a great combo. We're going to be relying very, very heavily on those guys because they're young. Our cornerbacks are young, and they have been burnt multiple times this year. And the thought of DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and even David Moore, very, very scary. They will be very overmatched on a Sunday night game. So they're going to have to put their big boy pants on to hang with these guys.
One thing you got going for you, which most stadiums, of course, this year do, is that you don't have to deal with us, the fans in the stands. That's one big component that's missing in terms of the Seattle home field advantage, which kills me because we're missing this historic season, at least historic start to a season, and right now we can't even see it with our own eyes. We can only watch it on TV with the rest of the world. So it's disappointing that way, but it's still fun to watch our team doing what they're doing. So I hear you saying all this stuff, and it's almost like I feel like this guy's doing a little rope-a-dope on me. It's like he's trying to make me feel so confident that we have nothing to worry about, that we're just going to completely decimate this defense. And something tells me that we're going to show up, and right away it's going to be like, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Matt said it was going to be easy, that they have no pass rush, that the corners are young and no good, and suddenly it's not what I expected. But or is this really just the facts?
Well, here's the thing: they're young, but they're gritty. Jeff Gladney, Cam Dantzler, they got swagger. They're out there. They're chomping in your face. So if they came out and had a great game, I wouldn't be that surprised. They really don't have nothing to lose at this point. And same with the defensive line, same with the linebackers. They're going to have to play all out on this team, but they have a good play, and just like a rookie, they'll have 2 bad plays. Aaron Rodgers took advantage of us. Tannehill had a good game. We were able to actually play very well against Deshaun Watson last week against the 0-3 Texans, but it's hit or miss. It's hit or miss.
So one thing you haven't mentioned, which is a little concerning to me, is that you haven't mentioned Justin Jefferson in this conversation yet. And yet, from what I've read, this guy's having a heck of a season here. You just sort of secretly, quietly didn't mention him, as if, maybe if I don't mention him, Seattle will forget he's out there. Tell me about this guy. Tell me about, outside of Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook, talk to me about Justin Jefferson. Is there anybody? I mean, Adam Thielen, you haven't really mentioned him either. So who else do we have to worry about on the defense, back to the defensive side of the ball? What other weapons guys could come up and make a difference for the Vikings?
Well, it's Thielen and Jefferson have been our bread and butter Jefferson really didn't even play the first 2 games. He's got 16 receptions, 348 yards, averaging 20 yards a catch. And the biggest issue with the Vikings is they don't have really much leadership. They don't have much like in your face. The guy, like we lost Everson Griffin, we lost Stephon Diggs, which is shown huge this year, more of a leadership thing. And Justin Jefferson's coming out, getting first downs, getting in people's faces, which exactly what we need. Jefferson, they put him in slot, they put him in outside. They'll put Thielen in the slot, they put him outside. They're changing things up on every play. Jefferson's the real deal. I'm not even drinking the Kool-Aid after 2 games. It's just, you can tell this guy is going to be a star in this league. So, like I said, back to the beginning, Cousins is going to have to win this game. He's going to have to get them the ball. That's the issue. If he gets it in their area, they're going to catch it, and Jefferson can make plays after the catch. So it's going to be big. I look forward to a couple big games from these guys. They got 100 yards over the last couple of games, and I expect nothing less against the Seahawks this Sunday.
To the super chat, Dukes of Hazzard says, "Go Hawks! Russ is taking Gordon Ramsay's job." we're getting way over into these chef analogies here. It's going to get a little tiring after a while, but we're enjoying it right now. So I want to ask you about Kirk Cousins. I've made a lot of jokes about Kirk Cousins through my channel, and so far he's with the exception was when he was with the Washington Redskins at the time. He did beat us with some pretty big throws back in 2017. Really pissed me off. Should have won that game. I blame our kicker, but he did some good things. Other than that, though, with the Vikings, there's really not been much resistance there. But you guys, how long has it been? Was it 2 years ago you guys signed him to that ultra mega contract, $84 million fully guaranteed, if I'm not mistaken? I'm just curious, as from a Minnesota fan, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like, just tell me your feeling, honestly.
Well, it's, boy, I think I heard my accent on that one. Kirk Cousins, when we signed him, myself, it was just like, we got Kirk Cousins. He's not gonna take you to a Super Bowl. He's not gonna go 0-16. He's gonna be just good enough to win you some games. You're gonna have some help around him. You're gonna have a good defense, which last year we did have a good defense, and we won a game in the playoffs, which was great. The thing is, you don't really know what you're gonna get with Kirk Cousins, like I said, until a little bit into the game. You're either gonna get a Kirk Cousins that's gonna go 12 for 24 for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, or you're going to get the Kirk Cousins that comes out where you see the video where he says, "You like that," where he comes out and he is mad. He wants to win that game, and that is what it's going to take. He's going to have to be you like that and beyond this Sunday night. But I'm actually fine with it. I think he's a little above average quarterback. Vikings fans get very, very upset about Kirk Cousins and his contract, but when you look at it, the big scheme of things, it's not that bad.
It sounds like a man trying to rationalize things here. But so if you were the GM and you were back in 2017, is that when the deal was done, or 18? Whatever it was, 2 years ago, right? If you were the GM and you could see where things are now, would you go back there and do that deal again, or would you not?
Boy, that's a tough question. I guess based off of the fact that we have not won a Super Bowl, I would say no, I guess. I think we would have had some rougher years, but we also would have got some better draft picks and possibly snapped up one of those quarterbacks. So I would say no, but that deal does not keep me up at night. I do not go on to the side of things where I'm upset that he's our quarterback. I think every week he gives us a chance to win whoever we play, but he also gives us a chance to just be completely horrible, and I'm fine with that.
Interesting. So last year, you guys were in the playoffs. You beat New Orleans in a pretty spectacular finish to the game. And then, to my frustration, I was hoping you guys would take care of the 49ers. And instead, I think the other version of Kirk Cousins showed up because he looked like he was not in that game from the start. And the way you describe Kirk Cousins reminds me of the Incredible Hulk. He's either David Banner, who's just like a normal guy, or if he goes into Hulk mode, like that,
yes.
And it sounds like you got to find some way to give him that Hulk thing to transform, and then maybe he'll be the guy. But if he's just as David Banner, it's not going to go very well for you. So I don't know. Hopefully,
He's too nice.
Hopefully, you don't figure that out. Don't give him the dose of radiation, gamma rays, whatever it takes to turn him into the Hulk before this weekend. And afterwards, that would be fine with me. But yeah. So, well, that was pretty much it. Is there anything else the Seahawks fan should know? Or let me put it this way: why don't you finish this statement? The Minnesota Vikings will win if
the Minnesota Vikings will win if they can come out slinging it. They got to get creative. They cannot play how they have the last two games. They got to win the turnover battle. And Kirk Cousins has to go into beast mode, because Dalvin Cook, like we said, he's going to get his yards. But if we can't go toe to toe with Russ Wilson as far as putting up points on the board, we're done from the start.
All right. So let me get a final prediction from you in this game.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of points. I think there's going to be a lot of yards. I think it's actually be a very fun game to watch, especially if you like offense. The fact that I said that, it'll probably be 9-6. But
I don't think so.
I think when all is said and done, the Vikings won't be able to keep up with that offense. I could see a 38-28, 41-31, something like that, where the Seahawks walk away with the win.
Well, I've got 36-24. Originally, I predicted 26-24 in my season prediction music video that I do right before the season starts, but I didn't have a chance to see this team. So I had to go straight from training camp to that and try to guess what it was going to be. I didn't expect that Seattle would be cooking so much, and I didn't expect our defense to suck so much. So I've had to adjust the numbers a little bit. So I say 36-24 in this game. Not too different from what you're saying. So I guess we'll find out when they play the game. But Dukes of Hazzard says, in the super chat, beast mode. I think maybe you're reacting to what you're hoping Kirk Cousins doesn't turn into, because that might be what it's going to take for him to win this game. Kirk Cousins is going to have to find his inner beast mode. But thank you, man, for being on the show. Tell everybody one more time where they can find you and what your content's all about.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Just look for Onebar Lupagus Show. We're talking Vikings every day, whether it's Dan Bailey's ingrown toenail or the trade for Ngakoue. We're talking about it, and it was great being on the show. I appreciate you having us.
No problem, man. And we got to shout out the Fan to Fan Network, the FTFN Fan to Fan Network. I've been a member since the start. You're more a recent member of it, but really the only reason I think we're talking here is because we have networked with each other through the Fan to Fan Network, and I hope you guys will check it out. You can go to fantofannetwork.com, and I have the link to the description to their YouTube as well. And most likely you and I on Sunday will, if you're going to be there, may have a chance to do our kind of compressed pre-tailgate version on the Fan to Fan Network show and share our thoughts similarly. Are you going to be there for that on Sunday morning?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I guess we'll do this again in a little more tight and condensed version, but I look forward to sharing our pregame thoughts on Sunday. It's going to be fun. Sunday night football, baby. Prime time under the lights. We'll see what happens, but hopefully for us, the Seahawks get another win and become 5-0 for the first time in franchise history. And I know you guys are going to do everything in your power to try to be spoilers, but that's why they play the games. We'll see what happens. All right, man. Thanks for being part of the show, and we'll talk to you on Sunday. Good luck, man.
All right, man. Good luck. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. For those of you who super chatted, make sure you check out the Onebar and Lupagus Show. And I want to thank my guest again, Matt Falk of the Onebar and Lupagus Show. And everybody else, thank you so much for being here, for watching. We'll talk to y'all later. Have a great weekend. Go Hawks.